Oklahoma can continue to claim to be the reddest state in the nation. 2 other states had higher percentages of their voters pick Mitt Romney. But for the second consecutive presidential election, every Oklahoma county was won by the Republican nominee. And Tuesday's election saw Oklahoma's congressional delegation go completely Republican. The most watched congressional races were in eastern Oklahoma, and so was a vote that sent a message to city leaders in Tulsa County.
When Democrat Dan Boren decided not to run for re-election to the 2nd Congressional District, a fierce campaign began. Democrat Rob Wallace against Republican Mark Wayne Mullen. On election night, Mullen achieved something only 2 other Republicans have done in the history of a district where the majority of voters are Democrats. Mullen came out the clear victor, garnering over 57% of the vote to Wallace's 38%.
It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. Our district has always elected the right person. I truly feel that. I mean, we can elect a president that's a Republican and it's still elect a Democrat in this seat, or vice versa. And so what we want is someone that just represents us. We don't care if it's an R or D.
But Wallace disagrees. He says his defeat was defined by the presidential election in Oklahoma.
I really think that the race was determined by the unpopularity of the president in the district. We outperformed the president in low double digits in most of the precincts in the district. We needed to outperform him about twice as much as we did to be successful in the race.
Political analysts speaking on Oklahoma Forum say what happened in the 2nd District illustrates the changing political landscape in the state of Oklahoma.
The Democrat Party in Oklahoma has steered as the wrong direction, and Oklahomans have been able to find out that that Democrat Party, just like Ronald Reagan, it left us and the Republican Party started taking over.
Part of what we're seeing in terms of the numbers and what's going on is the rural Oklahoma is becoming Republican. Urban Oklahoma is becoming more Democratic.
The 1st Congressional District seat will stay in Republican hands, but it is a newcomer to politics, Jim Bridenstine, who will be going to Washington. He defeated Republican John Sullivan in the primary and was up against Democrat John Olson in the general election. Olson says he ran to end the gridlock and partisan politics in Washington. But Bridenstine defeated him handily, capturing more than 63% of the vote to Olson's 32%.
The people I've met, the Democrats, the Independents, and the Republicans together, want Washington to stop yelling at each other and get to work to solve our nation's problems. Whoever you voted for today, and even if you didn't vote, starting tomorrow, I want you to hold those elected into Congress to that standard.
Bridenstine intends to undo what he calls the oppressive regulatory environment the Obama administration has placed on small business and opposes the Affordable Care Act.
We are going to undo the largest tax increase in American history that is set to take place in just 2 short months from now. And we will repeal Obama's government takeover of health care.
Political analyst Arnold Hamilton isn't sure how much Oklahoma's newly configured Republican congressional delegation will be able to get done in a divided Washington.
In the days where we had Carl Albert and Bob Kerr and people like that who were wielding enormous power in Washington are gone. And unfortunately, where Oklahoma is today, particularly with the 2 U.S. senators that we have who are really pretty much on the fringe in Washington, there's not a whole lot of hope that we're going to get a lot of help there. Of course, by the same token, a lot of Republicans in Oklahoma don't want that help.
In Tulsa County, a bipartisan proposal called Vision 2 was soundly rejected by voters. It asked them to consider 2 propositions aimed at extending a 0.6 cent sales tax for an additional 13 years. Half the money raised by continuing the tax, which began with the successful Vision 2025 plan, would have paid for millions of dollars of infrastructure improvements at City of Tulsa-owned properties at the airport complex. The biggest beneficiary would have been American Airlines.
I blame myself. Obviously, I did not get the message across clearly to enough voters that could connect the dots and realize that it was imperative at this moment that we tell these companies we want you here.
Don Walker was co-chair of the Vision 2 plan. He knows of 2 cities who will now be trying to convince American to relocate part of their operations out of Tulsa.
Now, with us saying, we're not ready to invest in our facilities, then these other cities will take that as an opportunity to call on these companies to say, we've got facilities that are already complete, that are in better condition. We can give you favorable terms. And that's my biggest fear.
Rhonda Villamont Smith headed up a group opposing Vision 2.
It was too rushed. It's too soon. The Vision 2025 does not expire until 2017. So we still have 4 years left, and we can go back and we can come up with a better plan that's got a little bit more public involvement in it.
Proposition 2 of the Vision package, which would have funded quality of life programs in Tulsa and other cities in the county, was also defeated. Analysts on Oklahoma Forum say MAPS in Oklahoma City was successful because it reached out to every segment of society, and that maybe Tulsa hasn't figured out how to do that.
The sad part is that Tulsa is relegating itself to maybe even 3rd or 4th class status in Oklahoma because they can't get their act together, and it's a convoluted group of people that can't seem to organize and orchestrate these efforts, or the public up there is just too conservative and won't support them because they think somebody's going to get something that I'm not, and I'm going to have to pay for it.
Well, and it looks like the current leadership is still operating on the old model where a very few families and major philanthropists were sort of setting the agenda and handling things, and that doesn't work in this day and age.
Walker is evaluating what went wrong with the Vision 2 proposal and vows to get another economic package before the voters again in the future.